Good evening to all. I am Marzuka Binti Afzal, today's host, representing R2P Insight, and I give you all a warm welcome to the second lecture of this series. Today's topic is Revisiting India's Afghan Policy Challenges and Dilemmas. We have joining us for today's lecture as chief guest Dr. Sabir Ahmed Chaudhary, the Honorary Chief Patron of Right to Peace and Associate Professor of the Department of Peace and Conflict Studies from the University of Dhaka. We also have with us Honorary Patron Mohammad Mainuddin, Assistant Professor of the Department of International Relations from the University of Bangladesh University of Professionals. I would also like to introduce today's keynote speaker, Dr. Debasish Nandy, Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Political Science from Kazi Nazrul University, Asansol, West Bengal, India. Before we get into the main event, let me briefly talk about our organization, Right to Peace. Right to Peace is an organization of youths with the vision of a world where everyone will enjoy peace such that all human rights are promoted and protected and development is fully realized. It mobilized the most capable ones of the people, the youths, to attain the most desirable end, which is peace. The mission of Right to Peace is to empower the youths by sharpening their intellectual and moral faculties for enabling them to uphold the people's right to peace through working for human rights, social justice, good governance, sustainable development, and social cohesion. Right to Peace has already made itself a promising platform for the youths of this country to enhance their knowledge and skills, as well as engage in philanthropic activism. It has rendered both classroom facilities and volunteerism opportunities to the youths for developing personal and professional knowledge and skills as well as leadership. R2P envisions to enable the youths of this country to reduce the gap between formal degrees and employability in this country. It upholds the principle of aligning the individual's development to social progress. To help develop and prepare the youth community for knowledge building and preparedness, Right to Peace has introduced a series of lectures called R2P Insights. The aim of R2P Insights is to build a bridge between generations where experts and inspirational figures will share their knowledge with youth based on their life experiences or their areas of expertise via online and offline platforms. This knowledge sharing platform will help the youth community in different aspects, broadening their point of view, guiding them to choose the appropriate professions according to their potential, including them to new ideas and making them grow passionate about altruistic causes. Now, to get back on the subject. With the Taliban gaining control over Afghanistan again and the South Asian states in the region questioning their security strategy, experts are focusing on the regional superpower, India's Afghanistan policy. India's Afghanistan policy, especially after the 1979 Soviet invasion, has worked on the premise that an external friendly power would do the heavy lifting in Afghanistan's security and political sector. India, meanwhile, would invest in soft sectors such as infrastructure development and would limit its involvement in the security domain. In the 1990s, India's Afghanistan policy was tied to Iran and Russia, and then later, India relied on the US support to Kabul for maintaining stability, and it is largely focused on what it views as threat from Pakistan. But today, the context is different. Experts are expecting that India takes the lead, and India needs to accept the reality, a Taliban regime in Afghanistan, and rethink its Afghan policy accordingly. With that briefing on today's subject, I would like to invite Dr. Sabir Ahmed Chaudhary to deliver his welcome speech. Sir, you're given the platform.
Thank you, Marzuka. At first, it's a very privilege for us to have Dr. Debasish Nandy with us in this webinar. So he has a long experience of working in this field. The issue which is dealing with today is a really important one. not only for South Asia but all over the world. We know about Soviet intervention in Afghanistan long ago. After that, the end of Cold War, and so many things happened in this region. And after the invade of Soviet Russia, America just started their operations in different places of Afghanistan, and it has a real impact on the geopolitics and the foreign policies and others in South Asia, especially India, when we are living in a region where they need to deal with Pakistan and other countries. And recently, the interest of China in the region has increased, and it has a new arena of discussion for us. So, the rise of Taliban in Afghanistan and the change and the new thinking in the Indian foreign policy, it's really a matter which needs to listen, needs to discuss, and needs to hear. So we are waiting for the discussion and analysis of Dr. Debashish Nundi. I think you will enjoy the lecture. Thank you.
Thank you
Very
very
good
much, sir.
evening to all of you. Shall I start?
Um, Thank you very much, sir, Saber sir, for the lovely commencement speech. Now, moving to the main event, I'm going to give the floor to today's keynote speaker, Dr. Debashish Nandy, who is an associate professor in the Department of Political Science, Kazi Nazrul University, Asansol, West Bengal, India. Dr. Nundi is the coordinator of the Center for Studies of South and Southeast Asian Societies at the same university. He is also the visiting faculty member in the Department of Foreign Area Studies, Tajik National University, Dushanbe, Kazakhstan, and Indian Cultural Ambassador to Kazakhstan. He was also a guest faculty member in the Department of Political Science, Ravindra Bharati University, Kolkata. Dr. Nandi has a very well established publication record regarding publications in academic journals. He has not only authored 4 books, but also has co authored 2 more, and regularly appears on Bengali television channels as a political analyst. His interests include India's foreign policy and South Asian politics and Southeast Asian affairs. Now I invite Dr. Nandi to give us his lecture. To the audience, if you have any questions with regards to the lectures, feel free to provide it in the comment box and we will pass it on to the speaker. Now for the lecture. Dr. Nandi, sir, if you may.
Very good evening to all of you. At the outset, I would like to convey my special gratitude, sincere gratitude to uh, RP2 for inviting me, and especially Dr. Sabir Ahmed Chaudhary sir. Is a very good friend of mine, and I am really delighted to be present here because this initiative is really uh, a very excellent and very unique initiative to understood the necessity of peace and stability. And at the outset, we have heard how this forum has been uh, and why this forum has been formed by the departmental students of Peace and Conflict Studies of Dhaka University with the leadership of the faculty members, especially Sabir Ahmed sir and other faculty members. I appreciate to all of the initiators to form this platform. Uh, Today, what South Asian states are facing, that is the security and peace and also stability. The absence of good governance and the deficiency of democracy made this region jeopardized for democratic sector citizens. However, my topic is revisiting India's Afghan policy, challenges and dilemmas. Over the last 1.5 months, Afghanistan has been the core theme of global politics, especially South Asian politics, because of the resurgence of Taliban in Afghanistan. This is the second phase of Taliban regime, and Afghan people have witnessed the brutality of Taliban regime, and entire South Asian states are thinking how to deal with Taliban. India is not an exception. Before going to discuss India's foreign policy towards Afghanistan, I would like to say something about the profile of Afghanistan and nature of the Afghan state. Afghanistan is a landlocked country situated in between Central Asia and South Asia. Regarding the geographical location of Afghanistan, there are so many debates whether Afghanistan would be considered as the South Asian states or Central Asian state. Afghanistan shares common border with Central Asian countries as well as West Asian countries, Iran, and South Asian state Pakistan, and also with China, North Asian state. Geostrategically, it's situated a very important place, and it is a juncture of Central Asia and South Asia. Since Gandhara civilization, Afghanistan enjoyed a pivotal position. The Silk Route, ancient Silk Route, was based on Afghanistan. So the traders of Central Asia used to come to India through Kabul and Kandahar. If we look back to history, then we'll find out some interesting things. For a long time, Buddhism was there. Then Islam invaded in Afghanistan, and Islamic culture developed in Afghanistan. And then a number of invaders entered in India through Afghanistan. And Afghanistan is a very hard country in terms of its economy, in terms of its ethnic composition, in terms of its territorial location, and in terms of its governance and democracy. Afghanistan has a vast territory. It has 6,52,860 square kilometer territory, and there are 34 provinces. Afghanistan achieved its independence in 1919, 102 years ago. In comparison with other South Asian states, Afghanistan got its independence long back ago. But after independence, it was expected that democratic government will be restored and will be introduced. But unfortunately, kingship was introduced once again. But one thing is very interesting for Afghanistan. British never directly ruled over Afghanistan. Afghan rulers enjoyed their autonomy under the British rule. British administration never so much interested about Afghanistan because it was unproductive territory and there was no scope of industrialization as it was a landlocked country. So British was not interested to invest there. So transport system was underdeveloped, education system was not developed like India and Sri Lanka, and bureaucratic system was not developed. So Afghan people could not be benefited from the British rule. However, democracy was not installed in Afghanistan after independence. It was ruled by so many rulers. However, the relations between Afghanistan and India is century old. And before the conclusion of Treaty of Friendship between India in 1950 between India and Afghanistan, the bonding of relationship started, and Afghanistan considered India as a friend. On the other hand, India also considered Afghanistan as a friend. And in 1979, when Soviet Union invaded in Afghanistan, then in reply, US also entered in Afghanistan to fight against Soviet soldiers. During that time, India was silent. India has no standpoint and no statement. India didn't make any statement about Afghanistan and Soviet invasion because in 1971, India concluded a treaty with Soviet Union. However, India's aloofness regarding Afghanistan was highly criticized. Afghanistan always has been a field of experiment of superpowers. And in 1979, when USA thought about to fight against Soviet Union, then CIA of United States of America and ISI of Pakistan had collectively or jointly recruited Afghan youths, and they were trained by the CIA and ISI. They were given arms. They were called or known as Mujahideen. They never given up their arms. Later on, they became Taliban. So USA was responsible. Pakistan was also responsible for the punishment of Taliban initially in Afghanistan. And unfortunately, Afghan people never have been tested by a real democratic regime before 2002. The tenure between 1979 to 1989, during this period, Soviet Union formed socialist type of government in Afghanistan, and so many innocent Afghan people are killed by Soviet soldiers. There was no civil society like Bangladesh. Bangladesh has a good instance that Bangladesh, from the very beginning, had a very good civil society, and the voice of the students of Bangladesh is globally appreciated. But unfortunately, in the case of Afghanistan, there was no student movement, there is no civil society movement against the external powers. And there was no charismatic leaders in Afghanistan like Gandhiji in India and Sheikh Mujibur Rahman in Bangladesh. So Afghan people never could be united. Ethnic compulsion of Afghanistan is very complex. Pashto is there, Uzbek is there, Tajik is there, other tribal groups are there. Each and every region is dominated or ruled by a particular ethnic group. So external powers used Afghanistan as a field of their great game. So India foreign policy towards Afghanistan was very generous from the very beginning, but sometimes India was so much aloof in Afghan affairs. Afghanistan doesn't share common border with India. Afghanistan shares common border with Pakistan. Long border is there, 2,000 almost 2,400 kilometer borders between Afghanistan and Pakistan. That is dual line. Most of the border is open. To do trade with Afghanistan, India has to negotiate it with Pakistan, because through Wagah border, via Duran line, Indian trucks and goods trucks used to go there. But air connectivity between Kabul and Delhi from the very beginning was so good. And except the 5 years tenure of Taliban since 1996 to 2001, the relationship between India and Afghanistan was friendly. But once again, the relations between New Delhi and Kabul has been deteriorated after the resurgence of Taliban in mid of August 2022. There are some problems before India to continue relationship between with Taliban government. Uh, the tenure between 1996 to 2001. Why? There are some reasons. Number one, the Taliban government was not legitimized government. That government was not recognized by the global community. Pakistan recognized that government. As India is the largest democracy in the world, so it's natural responsibility to India, and one of the basic principles of Indian foreign policy to be engaged with those democratic countries which are trying to establish peace and stability and human rights. So in Taliban regime, there was a totally non-democratic regime. Women were not uh, honored, and democratic-minded people were brutally killed. And in the name of Sharia law, in the name of Quran Sharif, they misinterpreted Quran Sharif. As per my knowledge about Islam, Islam is the religion of peace. They misinterpreted jihad. Jihad is a very good concept. Very good concept. So in this way, in the name of Sharia, they distorted Islamic rules and regulations. That is why other peaceful Islamic countries also disconnected their relationship with Taliban regime. Number two, one of the Indian Airlines flight was hijacked in December 1999 by Taliban and Pakistani terrorist groups from Kathmandu Airport, Tribhuvan Airport, and that was hijacked from Kathmandu and arrived at Lahore, and then it flew to Kandahar. Some passengers were killed by Taliban, and after negotiation, the flight was released from Kandahar, and some terrorists were released from India. Number three, that government was totally supported by Pakistan. So, in order to maintain regional security and regional balance, India was not interested to continue its relations with Taliban government. Number four, Taliban government not only responsible for spreading terrorism within Afghanistan and Pakistan, also responsible to spread terrorism across South Asia, Bangladesh, Maldives. In Maldives is an Islamic country, but there was no terrorist module in Maldives. It is a very peaceful country. In Bangladesh also, as per my knowledge, since my childhood, I have visited several times Bangladesh. I enjoyed Bangladesh. I love Bangladesh. I never seen before 1996 there was any kind of jihadist module or radical forces in Bangladesh. Taliban in Bangladesh, this branch was basically introduced by the Taliban. So cross-border terrorism, on the issue of cross-border terrorism, India suspended its relations with Afghanistan. There are so many reasons. I'm not talking about this now. And after 9/11 incident, the pattern of relationship between Kabul and New Delhi has been dramatically changed. India agreed to fight against international terrorism when the junior George Bush, rather than the US president, declared to fight against international terrorism. India became a part of it. And American Air Force flew from Pakistan soil, and they dropped bombs against in various parts of Afghanistan to kill Taliban and Al Qaeda. Pakistan also became the part of US mission. Pakistan was forced actually to be part of it. However, in 2002, when in 2001, when finally Taliban regime was ousted, and in 2002, a, an interim government was formed in Afghanistan with the help of the United States of America. Since then, both the United States of America and India jointly started to work for reconstruction of Afghanistan. What India did since 2002 to 2021, number one, India's foreign policy towards Afghanistan was generous and very friendly and cordial. In the field of assistance, I must say, number one, Indian assistance to Afghanistan, especially in the field of medical science, in the field of health sectors, so public health, India immensely helped Afghan people. India built up a polyclinic in Mazari Sharif, and several medical units were established by India in in different parts of Afghanistan. India had sent its doctors and nurses in various cities in Afghanistan because Afghanistan health, public health is not so developed. So India contributed a lot, and a number of doctors and nurses were killed by Taliban and other terrorist groups. And India, after Kabul, Indian embassy in Kabul is very old one, and after that, India had opened up its other consulate office in Mazari Sharif, in Herat, and diplomatic engagement between India and Afghanistan restarted since since 2002, and direct air connectivity between Delhi and Kabul was resumed. Number two, India has gifted 300 passenger buses to Afghanistan and two passengers aircraft to Afghanistan. Number three, India established dam, Salma Dam in Herat for irrigation, to mitigate the irrigation problem. And in Kabul, India established water plants to mitigate the drinking water crisis. A small hydroelectric power projects were made by India. Not only that, India made 210 kilometers road in Afghanistan. Indian government each and every year offered Afghan students to avail scholarships. Scholarships are given by several Indian funding agencies, ICSR, DST, and other agencies. Thousands of Afghan students are coming to India for their higher study. Number five, India did a lot to capacity building of Afghan administrators or Afghan bureaucrats. They are given trained in New Delhi before joining their job. Afghan diplomats, Afghan bureaucrats are given training in New Delhi. India established a number of computer centers in Afghanistan, and in IT sector, India tried to develop, India tried to assist Afghan government. And culturally, India and Afghanistan are very strongly linked because Afghan diaspora in India are very strong. Thousands of Kabuliwala and Afghans live in India for long-time residential visa, through long-time residential visa in Kolkata, my hometown. There are a number of Afghans We know we read many of us read the Rabindranath Tagore's short story Kabliwala. So century old relationship between Afghan people and India. They used to come in India to sell out dry fruits, and many of them are engaged with money laundering business. In Kolkata, there are so many Afghan restaurants. We used to go there in Park Circus area. So culturally, I have personally I have an own experience. There is a restaurant in Park Circus near Bangladesh High Commission. So in 2017, and I went to Bangladesh High Commission in Kolkata to get my visa for Bangladesh. Then I entered in the Afghan restaurant. The name of the restaurant is Kolkata Kabul Restaurant. I talked to the owner. They told me very interesting story. That we are living Kolkata for a long time. Taliban, due to the Taliban, Afghanistan has been stigmatized as a terrorist country. But we have taken some initiatives to be reconnected India, reconnected with Afghanistan. From Kolkata, we will take some tourists to Afghanistan. They will stay in our home in Afghanistan, and after 7 years, they will come back with us. There is a package, and they are trying to popularize Afghan foods in Kolkata. And Afghans are very much available, Afghan people in New Delhi and North Indian states. And culturally, they are very close because in Afghanistan, Indian films, Indian TV serials, and other reality shows are very popular. Not only that, the music, Indian music, Indian musicians used to compose the Afghan music. They borrowed some concept from Afghan musicians, their concept. However, now I am going to discuss about India's uh, medical linkages, medical tourism, concept of medical tourism and aspect of medical tourism with Afghanistan. Many Afghan patients used to come used to come India for their treatment in Kolkata, in Delhi, in Mangalore, and in Vellore or Chennai for their medication. And in terms of number of patients, the Afghan patients are very high, and they treat India as a very cheapest place for their treatment. And another aspect of relationship is soft power diplomacy. As a part of soft power, Indian embassy at Kabul is promoting Indian culture there, and in association with Afghan government, government of India has tried to promote Indian music, Indian culture, Indian philosophy, and also the Afghan, on the other hand, Afghan embassy at New Delhi also had tried to expose Afghan culture, Afghan music, Afghan literature in India. And as we know how Joseph Nye emphasized on soft power, since the mid 1990s, most of the countries in the world are emphasizing on soft power. Now I am coming to the third country factor in Indo-Afghan relations. There is no doubt Pakistan is a factor in Indo-Afghan relations. Yes, there is no doubt the role of Afghanistan, the role of Pakistan is very negative in Indo-Afghan relations. Pakistan constitutionally is a democratic country, but in practice, democratic exercises are absent in Pakistan. So always it has been stigmatized and tagged as a terrorist country, as we know. And so many terrorist groups are active in Pakistan, and they are also promoting terrorism. Pakistan government is also promoting terrorism with the help of ISI in Afghanistan since a long time. And whenever the relationship between Kabul and Delhi strengthened, then Pakistan reacted harshly. And Ashraf Ghani government realized that if they deal with Pakistan, then democracy never been installed or cannot be installed properly in Afghanistan. So Ashraf Ghani government was unhappy with Pakistan, and Imran Khan government was also unhappy with Ashraf Ghani government. However, one of the major problem of Afghanistan is poverty. There is no industrialization, industry, and agro-based economy is there. 47%, so 47.5% people of Afghanistan almost living below poverty line. The rate of unemployability is 11.6% now. So to promote Afghan youth and to make them capable, government of India has taken so many initiatives in capacity building of Afghan youth. Government of India has spent a lot of money, as some investment has been done by the government of India, as the Afghan youth can be employed there. But the role of Pakistan is not was not positive towards Afghanistan. And when Taliban came into power once again in mid of August 2021, then Imran Khan immediately reacted. The Afghan people has been free and they will be enjoyed by the Taliban government. How can a democratic country, constitutionally at least democratic country, can react it in such a way? And the and if we talk about strategic aspect of Afghanistan, then it is very important that Afghanistan never can go against Pakistan, because each and every year thousands of Afghan refugees used to take shelter in Pakistani territory. Not only that, as Afghanistan is a landlocked country, so entire naval trade of Afghanistan is dependent upon the Pakistan to Karachi port, because Gwadar port is exclusively used by China. So when the government of Afghanistan talk against Pakistan, then Pakistan government used to give threat to Afghan government that they will stop access of Karachi port for Afghanistan. And another strategic aspect is very important for India, that Afghanistan is a landlocked country, but India has since 2002 to 2020, until the Taliban regime has been established for the second time. India had a long vision about Afghanistan, because it has already established a port at Chabahar of Iran, because India has a very good relationship, century-old relationship with Iran. Not only for energy security, culturally, India has been attached with Iran for, for a long time. Iranian culture, Persian culture, language is very rich, and in Indian culture and Indian language, the Iranian culture and Persian culture have been reflected. Most of the uh, heroes and actors in Mumbai industries are originated from the Parsi culture, Persian origin. They came to India century, 100 year ago or long back, but there is a very good uh, cult of Persian culture in India. However, India established Chawar port in Iran to do direct business with Afghanistan via Iran. But after Taliban took over the power, Indian strategy has been challenged once again. And through Afghanistan, India has planned to reach Central Asia because India's relations with Central Asian countries now is very good. India also planned to do business with Central Asian countries via Iran. So now India's Indian government is facing a number of challenges to continue its Central Asia policy. And India government is thinking about its investment in Afghanistan because the one of the basic objectives behind the investment of India in Afghanistan is to make a friend country in South Asia to counter Pakistan. One thing is good for Afghanistan, except Taliban regime. The Taliban Pakistani legitimate government used Islam wrong way in Pakistan. They used military force and ISI in a wrong way. But in Afghanistan, except Taliban, I'm repeating, never government used Islam in a wrong way. Taliban, they have no legitimacy, they have no rationality. They have been condemned by the global community. But Afghan people are not basically bad. They have a good heart, but they are poor. They have no education. That is why most of the Taliban youth have compelled to join Taliban for their economic compulsion, but economic insecurity. So Afghanistan is a vulnerable country. To promote Afghanistan and to capture the market of Afghanistan, India invested a lot, and India had continued its its very cordial foreign policy towards Afghanistan. There is a proposed project, which is yet to be resumed. That is a TAPI. There is a pipeline project between Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, via Pakistan to India. So Afghanistan, Hamid ki Ashraf Ghani government agreed to active this project, but Pakistani government was not agreed to continue this project. But once again, the new Taliban government reassured to Turkmenistan government that they will help to restart this project. But thing is that India has another challenge, that is China. China never intervened in Afghan affairs till yet. China basically engaged with economic expansionist policy. In South Asian states, China invested a lot through its maritime Silk Route policy, BRI, Sting of Pearls. Strategically, China is in advantageous position in South Asia. However, as Afghanistan shares common border with Uzbekistan, there is 700 kilometers open border, and this area is desert. So Uzbekistan government has no capacity to deploy sufficient military forces to surveillance over the border. So it may ask China to get to give the logistic support. If China is there in Afghan border, then it might be most challenging for India because, as we know, there is a very rival relations, a hostile relations between India and China, and uh, on an average, every year, 2 or 3 times, we see there is some hot talks between China and India regarding border, regarding boundary, LSC. So the aggressive policy of China is a major threat to India. And the role of Russia is very much important because in 1971, India concluded a treaty, friendship and cooperation with Soviet Union, last was Soviet Union. Now it has become Russia after 1991. So relationship between Russia and India is now complex. It is not simple. Initially, Russian government supported Taliban, but now Russia is very much critical about the support of Taliban government. Two, weeks- 2 weeks ago, there was a meeting in India. Indian Minister of External Affairs and Russian Minister of External Affairs talked about the future of Taliban government, and India wanted to know what is the policy of Russia about new Taliban government. The Russia has made it clear that if Taliban is to extend their activities, illicit activities in Central Asia and other parts of the globe, then it will be very critical about Taliban. However, the Central Asian region is the naturally resourceful region, Caspian Basin. There is the gas, there is the well. So if the Russia and China are against of India, then India will face tremendous crisis because India is facing a lot of crisis regarding energy security because India will not get free access Afghanistan to reach Central Asia now. Now Taliban government has posed themselves and trying to uh, make over their image, old image, terrorist image or brutal image, and they are projecting themselves as a new Taliban, liberal Taliban. They will promote human rights, human security. They will respect women, and they will do some developmental activities in association with international other countries. But Taliban government already had given a proposal to New Delhi that they want to resume their direct air service between Kabul and New Delhi. India didn't made it clear because the South Bloc, Indian Foreign Policy uh, Department, is thinking what policy India they are in dilemma. What policy can be taken to manage Taliban? If India totally disconnect itself with Afghanistan, then extra-regional powers, China, Russia, Pakistan is not extra-regional power. Pakistan will also take opportunity and India's investment, India's long-term vision will be uh, failed, and entire investment efforts will be treated as the failed project. That is why government of India is dilemma and is thinking what to do. And government of India is also thinking about the Afghan scholars who are studying in India, because thousands of Afghan students I have mentioned that they are pursuing their higher study in Indian university. One of my students, one of my friend, Afghan friend, Gulab Rahmani, is the faculty of sociology at Baglan University, and he did his PhD from India, government of India. He got a fellowship from my sister, and already after completion of PhD, he is now pursuing his postdoctoral research at Central University of Kerala. But in the early August, he went to Afghanistan, but he stuck there. Recently, they have been communicated, and I asked them through WhatsApp, "What are you doing?" He told me that I am hiding myself in my home because he is a political analyst. Whenever he stayed in India through Skype, he regularly appeared on Afghan television, and he was very much critical about Taliban. So he's fearing that he's very much afraid if we go outside that I may be killed by Taliban. So the future and security of the Taliban students, Afghan scholars, Afghan students. There are some Afghan employees in India also. What will be their future? Another thing is very much important. That is the role of Iran. Iran shares common border with Afghanistan. So Iran is never actively stated anything about Afghan affairs, but many Afghan people took shelter in Iran since 1979. Refugee problem is there, but now a new challenge may be created for India because China shares common border with Afghanistan. There is a 70 kilometers border, but there is no direct connectivity. China can do anything. China can make new road to making a tunnel and reach to Afghanistan, and through Afghanistan, China can reach to Iran. It will be another challenge for India because Chawar port then may be challenged by China because already Gwadar port is uh, controlled by China. So, in not only in Afghanistan, in Central Asia, and Indian Iran policy will have to be face a lot of challenges. And what is to be done by Indian government? Number one, government of India will think about the investment of Afghanistan, the potential market of Afghanistan. Number two, the future of the Afghan refugees in India. Number three, the future of the Afghan students in India. Number four, the activism of Pakistan in Afghanistan. Number five, the role of China and Russia in Afghanistan. Number six, India's long-term vision of Afghanistan. Number one, that is very important, that is India invested a lot in Afghanistan, but in return, India didn't get anything. It was one-sided relationship. Even India built up some houses for poor people of Afghanistan and refugees who returned back to Afghanistan from Pakistan and other neighboring countries. India had established new parliamentary building of Afghanistan in Kabul, but the basic aims and objectives of India, one of the basic aims and objectives of India in Afghanistan to promote democracy, because the Indian government knows it very well. If democracy functions well in neighbors, then India will be secure. If India is surrounded by non-democratic forces like Myanmar, military government, Pakistan, non-functional democratic government, in Afghanistan, Taliban government, then the democracy and stability of India and peace of India, internal peace of India will be challenged and destabilized. So, in order to promote democracy, in order to promote human rights, in order to promote human security, Indian government did a lot, but India was assured by the United States of America that they will jointly do something for Afghanistan. But after the withdrawal of US force from Afghanistan, India's position in South Asia, not only in Afghanistan, has been weakened. So India is not in a position to take challenge against China and other forces because India concluded strategic treaties with United States of America, joint naval exercises, air exercises, military exercises done by United States of America and India. So without help of the United States of America, India will not be able to manage its South Asia policy. So India government will have to wait what policy will be taken by the United States of America in coming days towards Afghanistan and how India will be able to deal with Russia. The relationship between Moscow and New Delhi is not so simple now, but it is that is a working relations. And how other South Asian states stands for Afghanistan. Because most of the South Asian states are not happy with India now. In earlier, they received a lot from India, but for the last few years, China got involved in South Asian states and giving assistance to financial assistance with hard condition to Sri Lanka, Maldives, Pakistan, and other states. So India will have to have capacity to take challenge against China because now the Nehruvian policy, idealistic foreign policy, has failed. The policy of reciprocity and policy of reality is to be implemented. There is no value of emotions and morality in international politics. So, regarding Nepal, regarding Bhutan, Maldives, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh, India will have to be more careful and more cautious whether the Chinese influence in near future uh, is strengthened or not. In the South Bloc must be very careful to formulate its Afghan policy in coming days because Afghanistan has been incorporated in SARC in 2006. India played a very vital role in incorporating Afghanistan in SARC, but India's now foreign policy of India will have to be reshaped, especially its South Asia policy and Afghan policy. So peace is very much needed, not only for Afghanistan, for entire South Asia. If democracy is once again restored in Afghanistan, if political stability is there, if the societal stability is there, if economic development is there, and if literacy is there and active civil society is there, then Afghanistan can be once again become a stable country And without political stability, no relationship can be sustained or endurable. So I expect other South Asian states like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Nepal, Bhutan, they will give positive efforts for Afghanistan. This is the collective interest, not only the interest of India. If one country of South Asia is in trouble, then other countries will be also affected. From the previous experience of Afghanistan, the entire South Asian society has witnessed the effect of Taliban. So other peaceful Islamic countries around the world may take very positive role to negotiate with Taliban and can request them to project the real picture, real philosophy of Islam. Islam is a religion of peace. So as they can destroy, they can distort it, the Sharia law. They can kill the innocent people. They can attack on common innocent people. What challenge? Another challenge for India now to give shelter the Afghan refugees who are coming to India and taking shelter in northern India, especially Delhi, Haryana, and other parts of India. On humanitarian ground, government of India can give is giving shelter them, but CAA Citizenship Amendment Act, which is passed by Indian Parliament 2019, there are some restrictions, but this is an emergency situation. So, government of India on humanitarian ground is trying to accommodate the Afghan people, but now I expect that Department of Peace and Conflict Studies of Dhaka University will do something for establishing peace and stability, not only for Afghanistan, for entire South Asia. And the aims and objectives, as per my knowledge of this department, is to establish peace in this region. So I hope the youth and students and scholars and faculty members of this department will apply their knowledge, their thinking to rethink about the new South Asia, that is the peaceful South Asia. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that provocative lecture on India's Afghan policy. India and Afghanistan have a centuries old relation, as you mentioned, with geographical proximity, geopolitical significance, and rise of influential insurgencies since 9/11. The two countries have been linked together inexplicably, not to mention Pakistan's role in Indo Afghan relations. Now, challenges might come for India in connectivity with Afghanistan because of Chinese intervention, so, policy of reciprocity needs to come into focus, and South Asian states will are expected to provide positive efforts toward Afghanistan. We all have quite a lot of affairs to think on, and certainly be aware of in the coming days. Now, I would like to start the question and answer session of the lecture. We have accumulated quite a few of them in the comment section, and I guess we can take 10 to 15 minutes to answer them shortly. Dr. Nungi, sir, if you would like to answer them, I can provide you with all the questions at a time, or if you prefer, I can give you the questions one after another so you can handle them separately. Sir, which one would you prefer, sir?
Is there any chance that India and international community, can you read out, please?
Of course, sir.
Is there any chance that India and the international community will eventually accept the Taliban authority in Afghanistan and work with them? Very good question. Actually, India is in dilemma. Okay, India is watching the situation and how the Taliban government uh, uh, is uh, is formulating their foreign policy, their economic policy, and how they formulate their internal policy and how they react about their citizens and human rights. After following all of this, government of India will take decision how it will continue its relations. And government of India is also thinking that if it discontinues continues its relations with Afghanistan, then entire investment, entire efforts will be failed. So that is why India is also thinking to rejuvenate relations, but after sometimes not at this moment. But other countries, European Union and other developing countries, are also thinking to resume their relations after observing the Taliban government. It will take some time.
Sir, we have another question. India aided to overthrow Taliban and became the largest regional provider of humanitarian and reconstruction aid to the former Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. But the Taliban has returned to power. Do you think that India will continue to provide aid to Afghanistan? And if not, then how the relationship will change?
Okay, thank you. India will think about whether the India will continue its humanitarian assistance to Taliban or not, because India is ready to assist Afghan people. India has no uh, dilemma about the Afghan people, but India has some reservation about Taliban. Okay, that is India has a budget, particular budget about on Afghanistan. So in this financial year also, India has allocated a lot for Afghanistan, but it was quite unfortunate that Afghanistan was reoccupied by Taliban. So if the situation is normalized, if Taliban government really changes themselves, then Indian government will provide this humanitarian assistance, especially in the ground of education, in the ground of medication, in the ground of women's empowerment, and shelter, and what provide drinking water, etc., etc., and irrigation system. Okay, so government of India is thinking what to do. So at this moment, government of India is not in a position to commit Taliban government that it will be able to continue its assistance to Taliban.
Sir, there is another question. It says, is South Asia going to face a new surge of extremism after the return of Taliban? How do you think India will deal with this new concern as the regional superpower?
India has the aim to be a uh, great power, and it has the aspiration to be a regional power also. But India, in terms of population, in terms of its resource, in terms of its territory, India is a big state. There is no doubt. But there are some challenges. The major challenge is China. So, and another principle of India's foreign policy is that India never asserts its power in internal affairs of South Asian countries or any other countries. So, if any country invites India to do something for those countries, then India used to go there. For example, in 2013, when Maldivian government hold presidential election, then they invited Indian National Election Commission to hold the election. Then government of India has said the government personnel of Indian National Election Commission, they successfully organized the election. Otherwise, never India uh, uh, used to be involved in internal affairs. But in the case of Bangladesh war, India got involved. That was another issue. But in recent times, India never actually got involved in any affair. So India has a duty. If it is silent, on Afghan affairs, then it will make uh, another another connotation, another explanation. Because if India silent is silent, then China and other external powers will intervene in Afghan affairs. Then situation will be totally complex. So India should tactfully react on Afghan issue. So India will continue its pressure on Taliban and to track them in democratic affairs or in a humanitarian attitude. So government of India will not directly intervene.
So we have three more questions. There's one on the relationship of India and Pakistan. Does the return of Taliban make the
Yes, yes,
situation of
yes, yes.
India and Pakistan
Yes, Taliban.
relationship
Yes,
more critical?
return of Taliban is obviously is a very challenging for India, for India, and Indo-Pak relations can be more hostile, but Pakistan can use the Taliban in Jammu and Kashmir and bordering areas. For a long time, the Jammu and Kashmir Pakistan government is doing militants in Jammu and Kashmir. So in coming days, I am not sure, but in coming days, Pakistan can deploy this Taliban. Uh, but Taliban is also claiming that this Taliban government is also very good and they will not uh, do something wrong with common people. They will not intervene in Indian internal affairs. So if Taliban uh, keep their promises, then government of India will have not to face any problem. But regarding Pakistan, it is very difficult to say how they will manage Taliban. So it may create some problems in Indian bordering states.
Understandable, sir. Sir, I think this is the final question for today. Do you think SARC can play any role to bring some
Yes,
stability in Afghanistan?
yes, very good question. Yes, as a regional organization, the rule of SARC is not satisfactory. SARC has not been able to mitigate on any issue, regional issue or any country-wise issue, uh, since its inception. So SARC is very mute regional organization. So I am doubtful whether SARC will be able to mitigate this problem. I think SARC will not intervene in Afghan affairs. What has happened this time that most of the SARC countries except Pakistan suspended the SARC conference and they condemned the Taliban regime. Then they were not willing to take entry to Taliban government in SARC summit. So that is why it is suspended. So unless the Taliban change themselves, so uh, SARC will not be able to incorporate Afghanistan, and SARC will not be able to intervene in Afghan affairs. It will not in a position to mitigate the instability of Afghanistan.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for your answers. They have been quite intriguing, nonetheless. On that note, we have reached the end of our lecture for today. Before we go, I would like to ask our honorary patron, Mohammad Mainuddin, Associate Professor of the Department of International Relations from Bangladesh University of Professionals, for a vote of thanks and some concluding remarks.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Marzuka, and good evening to all. Thank you, Sir Debashish Nandy. Uh, we it it's a delight and fortunate to host you, sir. And my job is not to make an opinion here, though the topic is very intriguing. I would like to rather remind how important or how significant the time is for this kind of discussions and this kind of sessions and talks we have. I would rather say this: what happened recently in Afghanistan is must be acknowledged as a massive blow to the liberal internationalist agenda that has been popular since the end of the Cold War. And the reality is, in this agenda or in this global polls we have, if the liberal agenda or liberal values are being promoted by the Western countries, the opposite side of this has been being championed by some other countries, and we can very well remember China for this. And now we are in such a situation in our region where these two global poles are uh, actually face to face with the given situation. And after what happened in Afghanistan, the situation got us with many of us with shock, utter shock, and many of us maybe with amaze. And we have almost forgotten what has been happening. And such a neighbor we had, and such significantly it has been dominating the news for a long time, but we after the international community was active there, after the democracy was functioning to some extent in Afghanistan, we have been almost forgetting what was going on under the curtain. Those scholars have been vibrant in this time, though there are many scholars who predicted exactly what happened. Nowadays I can remember um, Johann Galtung's predicting more than 10 years back that there will be one president who will talk about national interest of USA and will negotiate with Taliban and will withdraw their soldiers, their troops from Afghanistan. So scholars have been actively predicting this kind of situation we would face. Now all we have are questions. This is a time of political calm. What Debasish Nandy sir just said, that India is in a mode of wait and see, and so are many other countries. Iran is in a mode of wait and see. Even Pakistan itself, the key patron of this Taliban regime, are also waiting to find others acknowledge and recognize this state before they do. So that's the political calm we have been experiencing, and that's the situation uh, the other countries have been observing. But this is uh, we do not have this luxury for a very long time. We have to acknowledge the situation, because this very country is in our region. Though sir already said or indicated that this South Asian region, with the failure of SARC, or with the limited success of SARC, I would rather say, this region has not established itself as a vibrant political community where other regions have been finding their way to solve or to address the agenda of those other regions. The South Asian region has not been or is not remembered or acknowledged for such success as a regional political community, but now we need this. Now we if we have to acknowledge that if Afghanistan sinks with the rise of Taliban, it will not sink itself only. We have to be actively, we have to be active in playing our role, as considering all the aspects we have. And in the in this context, having one intellectual or expert like Debasish Nandy, and more importantly, he is from India, who has been definitely observing this situation closely as a stakeholder, and also lucky to have one from West Bengal. I should remind West Bengal to be the champion of liberal political thoughts in India as a country. So thank you very much, sir, for your speech, for your valuable speech, and the question answer session was even enlightening for all of us. I think we already had the answer to many questions from Debasish sir, and we will have more questions, and we will ask newer questions in the given situation, and we hope we will have answers, and we will be active in all the capacity we have uh, to accept or um, to play our role, uh, to determine how the politics of this region can move on to the right direction with democratic values. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you, R2P, for arranging and holding such a session in such a time. Thank you all.
At last, I would convey my adab to all of you, and once again, I convey my special thanks to all of you for inviting me. And this was very much good opportunity for me to share my views on India's Afghan policy. I have been also enlightened which questions have been raised by the scholars and other academicians. I personally enlightened because their thinking about this region, Afghanistan, really amazing. So if all of us can unitedly or jointly think about the future of Afghanistan, Afghan people, academically or financially or intellectually, then I think uh, the future of Afghanistan can be changed. The fate of Afghan people can be changed. The department will take some initiative. I firmly believe. If I can do anything with you, I will be delighted. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir,
Welcome,
for your
welcome.
concluding remarks. And thank you, Dr. Nodi, sir, for your final words as well. With that, I would like to thank you all for joining us this evening to listen to the second lecture of R2P Insights, revisiting India's Afghan policy, challenges and dilemmas. I would like to thank the Honorary Chief Patron of Right to Peace, Dr. Sabir Ahmed Chaudhry, Honorary Patron Mahmoud Mainuddin, and of course, thank today's keynote speaker, Dr. Debasish Nandy sir, for providing with such a thought-provoking lecture. We hope to have you, sir, with us in our future endeavors. And it has been an absolutely wonderful time to have you all here today. Thank you for your patience and interest. I am Arzuka Binti Afzal, and I bid you all a very good night.